Welcome to the Post Route. Here is your host, W. Earl Kitchings.
Good evening and welcome to the Post Route, the show where we dive deep into conversations with Black quarterbacks, both past and present. I'm your host, W. Earl Kitchings. This show is proudly brought to you by Quarter Five Back, the preeminent fraternity for Black quarterbacks and home of the prestigious BIP Memorial Trophy, the only award that honors both the top HBCU quarterback and the top Black quarterback from high schools around America. We're thrilled to have you with us as usual on this Monday night. So if you enjoy our content and want to support what we're doing here at the Post Route, we ask that you do a few things. You can hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit tap the notification bell so that you never miss an episode. Join us every Monday night here at 7 o'clock for more phenomenal conversations. Well, before I get to my guests, I got to do the kudos. As we told you in our last week's show, history was going to be made, and it was made because for the second time in 3 years, two Black quarterbacks faced off in the football game to culminate another football season. The Super Bowl. The Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts taking on the defending Super Bowl champions, Patrick Mahomes and those Kansas City Chiefs. Kudos go out to both of those young men because, again, they demonstrated total command of their teams. But someone, as we all know, is going to come up a little short. Congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles for their tremendous win last night at the Super Bowl 59. Congratulations to Jalen Hurts for becoming the newest Black quarterback to be a Super Bowl champion. We've only had a few guys to do this, and now he can add his name to that list. Patrick Mahomes already had three, was looking for three in a row, but I'm sure other than just the fact you lost the game, I'm sure he was happy for a guy like Jalen Hurts to finally break through and bust that ceiling up and get that championship banner, and now he'll be getting that championship ring. So again, congratulations to all you Eagle fans. I knew y'all are flying high. Y'all flew high last night, and you're probably still flying high. So congratulations to all of you. As we wrap up this 2024 football season, we still have one more game to go, which is the Legacy Bowl for the Black College All-Stars. We got that coming up this month. But other than that, we are coming to the close of another super fantastic 2024 football season. And we are just so appreciative for all of the gentlemen that we've had on, all our guests we've had on, all the guys who performed this past year, both at the collegiate and the high school level. And we want to congratulate all those young men who did their best to win championships for their team or just have better seasons than they had the year before. Joining me tonight, man, this is special because, you know, when we talk about rivalries, every college has a rivalry, whether it's that in-state rivalry or that border rivalry, which is just across the state line. Everybody's got one, and everybody's got their own favorite one. And sometimes you might have two rivalries for your particular high school and or college. Well, tonight my guest is a guy who has been dipped in the blue and gold of North Carolina A&T. And I say that because he has made that transition through college, and now he is finishing up his career as a North Carolina A&T Aggie. And he had a phenomenal season this past year. Although the Aggies did not do as well as they wanted to on the field, he came through and provided a good season, I would say, for the Aggies, especially since he was transitioning. Joining me tonight from North Carolina A&T by way of Central Gwinnett High School in Gwinnett County, Georgia, by way of Lawrenceville, Georgia, Please welcome Mr. Justin Fomby to our show tonight. Justin, welcome to the Post Route.
Thank y'all for having me, man. No doubt.
So it's been an interesting year, would you say, football-wise, now that we've seen the big game come to closure to bring this football season basically to an end. Let me just ask you about last night's game, since that is kind of a hot topic. What did you think about the game last night, and did you have a favorite team you were pulling for?
Yeah, I definitely was a great game to watch, especially seeing you know quarterbacks of color, in that position. Once again, I think that's always a good thing to have. I was definitely pulling for the Eagles though. One of my guys, he played D line for them, Jalix Hunt, so he had an opportunity to get a sack in that game, and they came out with the win. So obviously, I was rooting for them. I got a lot of ties to the Eagles as well, so I definitely rooted for them. But I think the game was a great game. I think that D line that I just mentioned was elite last night for the Eagles, and it kind of put Pat Mahomes in a lot of tough positions as a quarterback to be in. I think he made some great plays, but I think it's also a team game where if everything's not clicking for the unit, it's kind of hard to win, and we saw that show itself yesterday with especially how the Eagles play too. When you got guys that are clicking on all cylinders, and for Jalen Hurts to play that well, I think there's something to say to that too. I think he's been doubted all year, and his skill set has been consistent throughout his entire career, from high school all the way until now. And the fact that he was able to go get it done and prove the doubters wrong, so I'm definitely proud of that, and definitely look up to that as a black quarterback too. So, that's definitely something I see, and it was a great game. So.
Let me just clarify one thing, Justin. You're a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles.
No, that night I was a fan of the Eagles. I'm actually a Falcons fan. We're not too hot right now, but obviously we do got another young quarterback that I feel like is going to take us the way we got to go with Michael Penix. So I think we're looking up. So I'm a Falcons fan, but for that night I was an Eagles fan.
Well, my little dig was the fact that when you say the Eagles, people in North Carolina, especially in A&T, when you say Eagles, most of the time people think about North Carolina Central. So I wanted to make sure we clarify that when you say the Eagles. But that's just a slight little dig, man, just messing with you. So based on the way Jalen performed last night, and I know you go into these games, man, it's already hard to get to a Super Bowl, right? But to go to a Super Bowl 2 times in 3 years, and you had a shot at winning 2 years ago, and you didn't. People start putting a monkey on your back and start saying you can't perform, you can't do this. But you made it very clear that last night he performed very well. Do you think, or do you feel that sometimes a loss can help you become a better quarterback?
Definitely, I think one of the things my dad used to tell me when I was younger is don't see it as a loss, see it as a learn. And every time you see an L, it's a learn, not a loss. And I think especially at this position, there's so many factors that are, that we have to look at in preparation. That if something doesn't go right, it's easier to pinpoint those things through film study. And sometimes it's better that things don't go right rather than going, perfect. So I think that there's something to be said about learning from mistakes, and I think especially when you're able to, have those mistakes early and it doesn't affect you in a costly situation. I think that being in an early season and having those growing pains and figuring yourself out as a unit, as a team. Obviously, you don't want to lose. That's without question. You as a competitor, you never want to lose, but you know there are people on the other side that prepare, and especially in a league like that where the competition is so high. There's a lot to be said about you're not necessarily going to force your way to win every single game. Sometimes it's up to a couple of plays and they might just be better on that night. But understanding that, putting yourself in the best position by making sure that you do the things you have to do, and learning from the mistakes that you do make, I think is something that's definitely important. I think that Jalen did that really well. Even a couple years ago when he did go to the Super Bowl, they only lost by 3 points, and he played primarily well. I think he threw for over 300 yards that game. And obviously there was a couple plays that he probably should have had back that changed the outcome of the game. But I think that's definitely something that as a quarterback you always look at the small things. Always look at ways to perfect your game and get better, so you come out with a win at the end of the day. So that's definitely something. Yes, sir.
No doubt about that. And in addition to him playing well, I think perhaps the one X factor that was a part of the game was the fact that, and it seems like folks don't talk about it a lot, but I'm a old school guy. You got to be able to run the football in order to pass the football. And I think Saquon Barkley was the X factor for the Eagles this year, because you got to respect him, because he'll break one off on you before you know it. So I don't think they had that type of weapon 2 years ago that they had in the Saquon Barkley this year. And it made Kansas City play them a little bit different than what they did a few years ago. And I think if you ask Jalen, he probably say, I'm glad they got him. I don't know why the Giants didn't want him, but I'm glad we got him.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that that's definitely something that that's a complimentary game. That's a complimentary game of football. If you got a back that can be as dynamic as that, it opens everything else up. And especially when you got guys like AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, two all-pro receivers, two really great receivers. If you got a guy that can knife defenses through the trenches, through the running game, and you have those guys on the perimeter, all it's about is just, playing complementary football at that point. And if they do stop the run, understanding that, he's still a factor. Like, I think one of the things that I saw yesterday was no matter how many times they got him for like a 1 or 2 or 0-yard gain, he's still a threat regardless. Because at any point in time, he could break one for a long one. So they definitely had to respect that no matter how many times they shut him down. And I think that's definitely a piece that, added to their success last night.
Absolutely. One of the things I zeroed in on last night, too, was in one of the plays they called, they zeroed in on Jalen making a gesture over there to Brown, the wide out, like he was shooting a gun or something, which was a signal that I'm sure they work on. And once you see that signal, that's that quiet, silent information that y'all are exchanging between quarterbacks and receivers. Do you have, or did you have something like that with your receivers, that you had some type of gesture or some type of action that you are nodding of the head, or something that when you saw the right matchup that you guys could get on the same page?
Yes, sir, definitely. I think that's something that you earn to be able to do, and through a lot of repetition and practice that you get comfortable with those guys. Obviously, I think with more time, I feel like we would have got better at that. With Jalen being with those guys for a couple of years, I think that their chemistry level is definitely up there, and they have to be in order to be successful. And I think the tag, I feel like the tag was jet, a little quick, a little 5-out with a fade, just a man beater. Also, it's really a everything beater, because you've got a guy in the slot that can win the route. Obviously, you can get a 5-out, or if it's play man, you can throw the back shoulder. But if they go cover 3, you take the out. If they go cover 2, you can take the whole shot. But that's definitely a tag that is universal throughout the game. But I think there's a lot of things that we had in our game this past season that we had the ability to do. So it's just about execution at that point. But we definitely have those things, and that's really the primary. When you get the higher you go in quarterback play, the more that has to be. And I feel like even playing in some of these All-Star games that I played in, those were some of the things that made us have a little bit of success, is understanding that what we thought was going to happen isn't going to happen, but we have adjustments we can make on the fly to make it right. So that's the game.
Well, you make a very valid point there when you talk about being able to execute, because execute is such a major part of not just football or sports, but just in life, whether you're working in a 8-to-5 job or something different. You got to be able to execute, and when folks are relying on you to execute, you got to come through. So I'm always looking for the little things. So when I saw that last night, I was like, that was pretty interesting. And I was glad that the producer of the game picked up on that signal that they were calling, because a lot of times they don't show you that part of the game, but that's just another facet of the game a lot of fans don't know. Us football guys, yeah, we look for some of those things, head bob or a wink, or you look at me, I look at you, we both see what we see. You look a guy off. I mean, so it's so many little small nuances that's a part of the game, and when you can take advantage of it, because you may only get that one opportunity to take advantage of that opportunity when it comes, but you got to be on point. And had the throw not been as well as it was, then there would have been other kind of comments made. So in your preparation, Justin, how much time do you spend looking at a team's film? How much time do you spend watching film for the upcoming team?
Yeah, hours on hours. I think that's part of my game. I feel like is one of my strong suits is,
Okay.
I think quarterback play is driven from preparation. I think, when we think about spring ball and we go through fall camp and stuff like that, looking at that film from a self-evaluation standpoint, a lot of the stuff that you're doing is you're getting those live reps against those defenses that you're
Right.
facing. So, at this time of the year, a lot of these guys that are going to play in a spring game and stuff like that, they're going to be looking at their defense. But those reps that you're getting on the field, you get those reps in person, so you're able to actually get that. You're not able to scrimmage against teams during the week. You go through a week of practice and you play on that Saturday. So your scrimmage against that team is with your eyes on the film study. And that's definitely something that, I spend a lot of time with, looking at different things like, tendencies and, a lot of pattern behavior when it comes to coverages and looking at situational football and the differences that happen there. Looking at kind of figuring out the defensive mind of the DC and understanding, okay, in this situation, when his back's against the wall, what does he like to play? And understanding what makes him uncomfortable. Where are the holes in the defense as far as like conflict players, looking at different leverages from corners and how they like to play because some guys play different ways. And looking at depths of different backers and looking at how backers drop, if they're spot droppers, if they're, rerouters, what they put hands on, if they try to drop to actual routes or drop to zones. There's so much that you have to look at in order to be successful on the field. And, that's definitely a part of the game that, especially at the next level, you have to do. If you don't do that, you're not going to be successful straight up. And, I think if you talk to any quarterback that's at that level or any quarterback trying to get to that level, they'll tell you that film study is their number one weapon that you have to have. And if you don't have that, then you're not going to make it. So,
Well, people talk about tendencies, and that's something, quarterback almost has got to be like a supercomputer, man, because so much information when you step to the line of scrimmage and you look across and you're looking at what they're in, you got to process within a matter of milliseconds as to what you're going to need to do, what this guy's doing. And, you just cited some things that, again, some fans, people watch the game, but they're not picking up on the very small things. So like you talk about a linebacker and his drops and the way he drops back, or what side of the field he favors, or how a cornerback plays a guy. When we ran that route, he played me like this, but when I ran that route, he gave me a little bit more leeway. So now when we need to, turn that into something, so information comes in not only from your receivers, but as you're processing across on the defense. And that happens so quick, man, that you don't have a whole lot of time to do that. So like you said, the preparation of already going through that in your film studies helps you prepare. What else has been something that has been very, very helpful in molding you to be a better quarterback besides just film study?
I just say, training the fundamentals of the game.
Okay.
I think, from the position, you have to be fundamentally sound in order to be consistent. And I think a lot of times that quarterbacks, some of the issues that they find is not necessarily like decision-wise. It's not necessarily like not understanding. It's more about the fundamental side of things. Like I knew exactly where I wanted to go with the ball, but the ball didn't go where I wanted to be.
Right.
And that comes from, fixing those things comes from doing the work that, the detailed work of fixing my arm slot and fixing my arm angle, fixing my feet first. Because if your feet aren't right, then the rest of it's going to fall by the way. But I think that's one of the major things that I've always done in my game is trying to critique as much as possible to become more, stay fluid, but as robotic as possible, as consistent as I possibly can be. That way my release point is the same every time. And if it changes, I know exactly what I'm changing it to. My feet are consistent in situations that aren't ideal. And I think that's definitely something that, in the game that you're moving forward, a lot of those guys that are rushing, like we saw last night, they're elite. And you have to be able to make plays outside of just the traditional sit back in the pocket and just throw with a clean platform. And so I think, working on things like that and being with guys like Quincy Avery down in Georgia and Daryl Colbert Jr. out in Houston, Texas, those guys have definitely done a great job of helping me and critiquing me in certain ways and getting me to see, okay, this is where, some of the deficiencies are and this is how you fix those things. So definitely the fundamental side of the game, I think, and watching film are the two major aspects of the game that creates elite quarterback play. And if those two aren't, they don't coexist and they aren't consistent with each other and fluid with each other, then you got work to do. So,
Which one is easier to do the process, being up under the center or being in the shotgun for Justin Fomby? Which one is, which one is more easier for you to process in a position?
I think both of them. I mean,
Okay.
I could say shotgun just because you're back further, but also I understand that most of the time when you're under center, there's a certain pocket of plays that you're choosing from. So most of the time, you're not going to be looking at the same keys that you're looking for under center than you are in the gun. A lot of times in gun, you're looking at very specific things like a conflict player or who we're keying off of in that specific look. And most of the time under center, it's more either quick game, play action, or you're handing the ball off and either going some kind of naked boot game. So a lot of the stuff, that's why I said both, because I think that, if you understand the game from a detailed standpoint, you understand that there are specific things that are packaged between both of those things. So, either one, I feel like I do well in. And, obviously you can gain more information most of the time by being in shotgun due to just the proximity level of where you are. Being back further, you see a lot more. You understand, you can see different things and different, a lot more you can see from being that far back. But like I said, when you're on the center, a lot of those things are very specific to specific plays, specific packages, specific styles of play and stuff like that. So that's what I say to that.
Now, you just mentioned a term that I had not heard before in describing a player. When you say a conflict player, what is a conflict player? Well, tell us what that is.
Right, a conflict player is the guy on the defense that has multiple responsibilities. So let's say you have a 4 down front with a two-man box, and we have a run play with an RPO or a 2x2 set. That backer that's in between the box, the tackle, and the closest receiver to the middle of the ball is a conflict player. He has to play both. He has to play the run, and he also has to play that slot receiver. So he's in a conflict, is what I call it. So we might call it RPO, where we hand the ball off if he stays outside. And then if he tries to jump in the box and play the run and add an extra gap, we kick it out to the receiver to make him work. Also, guys like safeties can be conflict players depending on the defense. A lot of times that teams will try to play safeties into the run game, usually the boundary safety into the run game to add an extra hat and try to take away a gap and add a number back. So, defenses are always trying to add more numbers than we have because we have the advantage because we're on the offensive side and we're trying to control things. So defenses are always trying to add an extra number. And we, through film study, you find out who that extra number is and what that looks like, and that's what I call a conflict player. So.
Okay, had never heard that before, so I had to ask. I mean, I was speaking to someone today, and they were saying, "Well, I know football, but I didn't understand what edge meant." And it's like, okay, well, that's the defensive end, but now they put them a little bit further out, and they're coming off that edge of the line. So it helps when when people know the terminology. So when you hear, you know what they're talking about, as opposed to, oh yeah, I knew what that meant. Like, have no clue. You had an opportunity to be at 3 different schools in your college career. Let's talk a little bit about your thoughts and feelings about the collegiate portal and the ups, the pluses, and the minuses, in your opinion, as to how good or how not so good this is working for many college athletes.
Yeah, I think it's a growing thing that the more it happens, the more you have to learn. I think that by being in it 2 times, the first time I was kind of figuring things out on the fly, and I kind of just didn't exactly know what I was getting myself into. I just knew that I wanted to try for another opportunity somewhere else. But the second time around, I definitely understood kind of more about it and the structure of it. And the main thing that I found out very quickly is that if they want you, they know, and they'll let you know very quickly. So as far as a scholarship offer, they'll probably extend that within the first day or 2 of meeting them. And it doesn't take that long for them to understand that they want you and they want you to be their guy. And with the transfer portal, a lot of that stuff is they want you to be that guy and come in and play immediately. And in some cases, they want you to be a role player type of guy. But in my experience, most of the time, they want you to come in and be a guy. And if they do want that, you'll know off the rip. So if you got, I would say to anybody that's going through that process, if you got somebody that's kind of talking to you and kind of giving you the runaround, obviously, don't ever turn down an opportunity, but understand where you stand right at that moment. The one thing I say that I don't like about it is how it's affecting high school recruiting. Because there's a lot of talented kids out there that are getting less opportunities just because of the transfer portal. And, I think that, obviously, I'm a guy that comes from the era of who cares, work harder. So, I do that, say that with a grain of salt because, for me, I think a lot of times people look at transfer portal guys and say, oh, yeah, he runs away from competition, or not he, but they run away from competition, or they're soft, or they don't, like adversity. That's far from the truth. A lot of us, went through adversity and really want to, control what we control. And, when things are out of our control, find the best opportunity to be able to put ourselves in the best position to make that decision. But I think that, what I would say to high school kids is, make sure you're, doing everything you have to do to put your best foot forward. And I think a lot of times, for me, what that looked like, because I went through the process before, like a lot of transfer portal was hot, but I still had to kind of do a similar route due to the fact that, I had to put my name out there myself. Me and my parents, we spent a lot of time searching up camps and doing a lot of the dirty work. And, like this message says, it's there to be different. A lot of times that I spent, going to camps and stuff like that, I could have been out with my friends and doing this, that, and the third and partying. But, I was so locked in and focused on trying to make it out that, it was a level of intention and a level of purpose that I had to move with. And one thing I say to kids nowadays, like I was mentioning, is make sure that you're doing everything you can possible to put yourself out there. When it comes to going to every camp, I don't care how many camps you got to go to. The sacrifice is worth it at the end of the day if you can earn your scholarship. So I think that's the key to, where everything is headed, making sure that you're putting yourself out there and getting your name out there and coming prepared too. That was one thing that I definitely made sure that I did when I went to any camp that I went to. I stayed prepared. And that's a test to my parents and how they, they made sure I was prepared and told me, like, if you're not prepared, we're not going to take you. So the work had to be put in beforehand. But, I think, where it is today, as long as you stay prepared for any opportunity, even if you're in the portal, out of the portal, coming to high school, like, as long as you're putting in consistent work, at the end of the day, it's going to pay off eventually somehow. And I'm a firm believer in that. I think there's a lot of times in my career where I felt differently, but, you have to continue to, fight through that and, win that mental battle and say, no matter what happens, I'm still going to fight through it. I'm going to reap the benefits of my labor one day. Because at the end of the day, that's it's inevitable. So, it's about an end game. So that's kind of what I'll say to that.
So coming out of Central Gwinnett, your senior year, what other schools other than where you eventually ended up your freshman year at Northern Iowa were looking at you to come and impact their program?
Yeah, it was a lot. I earned, I say this, humbly, I earned a 3-star rating coming out of high school.
Okay.
And, I think my first offer was South Alabama. My second was Missouri. And then, I had different offers from Georgia State, Coastal Carolina, Louisiana, Tennessee State offered me at one point. I've been through a lot with that. With that, it was a lot. But I definitely, Northern Iowa was a later addition to the options, and I definitely had a lot to pull from. Obviously, I was hoping that I would have gotten more Power 5 offers after that first Missouri offer, and things didn't really go the way I planned them to. So a lot of that recruiting process was a little different, but that's definitely a lot of those options were on the table at the time, but they kind of changed and things happened. But those are kind of some of the schools that were on my radar. So,
okay. Well, Justin, hang tight, man. We're going to take a quick break, man, and come back and talk to you a little bit more about the challenges of moving around from one school to another and opportunities. And then we're going to talk a little bit about your experience on the campus of North Carolina A&T. This is the Post Route. My guest tonight is the senior quarterback who's played his last game for the Aggies, Justin Fomby. and we're glad to have him with us tonight. We're going to get back to him. But as you know, we are continuing to push forward in our efforts to make Quarter-Five Back in the Post Route one relevant entity and organization. So when you get an opportunity, here's what you can do. I already mentioned that you can join us, subscribe to us, like us. If you really want to help us, join us by becoming a supporter or a teammate through our membership programs. For just $4.40, you can Zelle it to us at 904-994-2189, and we'll get you your decal and your certificate as a supporting member. If you want to up that a little bit more to $44 to be a teammate to support our efforts, send that $44 in by Zelle, 904-994-2189. And with that, you will get your teammate certificate, your teammate decal, and you will get the Quarter-Five Back t-shirt. So help us out with one of those two things. You can go to our website anytime and check us out at Quarter-Five Back. That's PHI, quarterfiveback.com, and help us out. The other thing that we're doing as we continue our merchandising, this is our newest merchandise piece that we have. It is our Quarter-Five Back full logo shirt. It is only $40. And again, all you got to do is Zelle us the $40 and we will get your shirt back to you within a matter of 2 to 3 weeks. We got to custom make these shirts. These shirts are custom made by individual orders. So it takes us a couple of weeks to put them together, but please don't fret. We will get it to you. We want to make sure that you get what you want, but these are some beautiful shirts, sublimation, so we can put our logo on front and back, the preeminent down the sides. And these are some phenomenal shirts that you would want to wear this upcoming spring and summer. If you don't want to do that shirt, you can always do our other shirt, which is our logo shirt, which is our logo on the soft black cotton. That's only $25. And again, that's our logo, Quarter-Five Back. And you'll be happy that you are helping us out and you are wearing something that everybody will want to know. What is Quarter-Five Back? So that's what we're doing. And we're asking you just to do what you can to support us. As always, if you have not gotten your copy of the book I wrote, The Forgotten QBs, you can go to our website and put your order in there. And that book is only $35. So we have different ways to merchandise, and we're also making sure that we are updating our merchandise. So now we have t-shirts, golf shirts, and a warm-up, all with the Quarter-Five Back logo. Also, you can rep who we are and what our organization is all about. And we thank you. We're going to get back to our guest right now, Mr. Justin Fomby, North Carolina A&T Aggie. Justin, you know, you made some points about going from Northern Iowa. From there, you went to Houston Christian and ended up at North Carolina A&T. And you gave some very great and valid points about going through that portal. How did you end up getting to Greensboro, though?
Yeah, so doing that process when I was in high school, I met a coach, Coach Bankins, and you know, it was actually through him, but it was also actually through a guy that in high school that I knew. His name is Coach Lee. It was William Lee. I actually played for Brookwood High School for a few years before I went to Central Gwinnett and graduated from there. But you know, that was a connection that I definitely made, and you know, he was somebody that believed in me from the jump. And you know, I was looking to find somewhere to go, looking for that right fit for me, and I reached out to him and a few other people and try to see if he can find some connections and get me somewhere I wanted to be. And at that point, you know, they reached out and they told me actually to put out a tape of my fundamentals. So, you know, me and a couple other people went into the field and we recorded video of me, you know, throwing different routes, the whole route tree from, you know, the quick game to mid game to deep throws. And from there, you know, we got on the phone. I got a chance to talk to the coaching staff, and then, you know, they decided to pull the, you know, like I said, they pulled the trigger pretty quickly. So at that point, you know, it was really about, you know, setting up that visit, getting a chance to see the place, feel the atmosphere. And I think the second I got the offer from, you know, A&T, I just, boom, Aggie Pride was on me. They were Aggie Pride, Aggie Pride, and we want you here, you know, come to A&T. And you know, that was something that was major to me because there wasn't a lot that I had in my, you know, career before that. And So, I took the visit. It was one of the better options that I had at the time. I took the visit, and I loved it. Fell in love with the place, fell in love with the people that were the coaching staff that was there. That was, people I felt like I could follow in life. And, obviously the opportunity that, some of the connections that they might have had for me to play at the next level too. So, um, I definitely took the visit, loved it, went back, and I knew my decision was made at that point. I
Okay.
remember when going back to Houston and seeing some of my teammates, and they were like, "So how'd you like it?" I was like, "Shoot, that's my school. I ain't gonna lie." I told them straight up, that's what I'm gonna be. So, they felt the energy that I felt coming back from that visit, and they knew that I was about to go there, and that was definitely a decision I'll never regret because it was the right one.
What would you tell a single parent, a single mother, in the process of that child trying to make a decision about what would be the right fit for them? Because not every place, even though it looks good, is not a good fit. How would you advise a single mom on making sure that uh, that fit might be the one that her son might want to look into?
That's a great question. I would say need is definitely a priority. I think that a lot of times, um, coaches kind of give you the runaround as far as, we would like you to be an addition, but um, if they're not giving you concrete answers as far as we need you and this is our plan for you, I think that's definitely something to look at. And one thing that I always made sure I did, whether that was the transfer process or just the high school recruiting, I asked as many questions as I possibly could. Um, that's something that I definitely had to do because I didn't want to walk. I've been in the situation where I walked into a situation where I wasn't aware of certain things that I wish I had known beforehand. And I think a lot of things to look at is the how long some of the coaches have been there, the track record of some of those guys, and um, if I were to give advice for a single mother or somebody in that situation to what to look for, I would just say look for authenticity. That's
Okay.
personally that's my main thing that I look for. Is when I talk to coaches, I think a lot of times that you get into that game where it's kind of like a car salesman a little bit, where they're trying to tell you certain things to get you to go there, but if they're not willing to tell you the dirt that they have and be real with you, obviously they're trying to. I wouldn't say obviously, but you can see that they're trying to sell you something rather than be real with you. And that's the coach. The coaches that I respect are the ones that tell you straight up to your face, like, hey, like if we're not trying to play you, we're not going to play you until year two unless you show me this or that and the third. Or, we are going to play you, but this is the situation that you're walking yourself into. Coaches that keep it real, that tell the truth about everything, and that lines up with the research that you do. I think that a lot of times, the bag is so eye gazing that you get caught up in. Oh yeah, we got a
Hmm.
scholarship. We
Yeah.
got a scholarship. Doing the research is the important thing. Looking up, what is the school known for? How good is the program that they have? What are some of the benefits that there are? Like, look at the alumni and the people that come back to the school. Like a lot of those things that you can do on your own before heading to a visit or heading to opportunity to meet coaches and stuff like that. You can kind of check those boxes and make sure that what they say aligns with the research that you've done on your own. And I think that if people were to do that, a lot of situations they would find themselves in, you wouldn't have to transfer because exactly, all right, I know what I'm walking myself into. I'm comfortable with what I'm walking myself to. I've done my research. They align exactly with what they say. What they're saying checks up with what the history looks like. And I'm definitely, that's something I feel like that is missing is, a lot of people that are early on in that process, especially in high school and stuff like that, that navigate that for the first time aren't aware that research is important. Just like anything else you do in life, research is important, especially in this too. So and also I would say it just depends on what you're trying to get out of the college experience. I think that education is premier. Um, if you don't want to go into a situation where the coaching staff doesn't care about you graduating, because that means they see you as expendable.
Hmm.
And for me, it's
Hmm.
like if they care about you graduating, they're going to want to see you stay, and they want you to stay. And so for me, I've been blessed to be around coaches that have had that, and I've also been fortunate to have coaches that didn't have that mindset. So the importance is graduating and get that degree to be able to get the education to move forward in life. And I think also the main other thing that I say is investing into the player, not just the man, just not the player, and not just the player. But I think a lot of times just so much X's and O's and 1, 2, 3s that a lot of times that coaches that are trying to get wins so much, they neglect the nurturing aspect of, the player. And I think that, if you're entrusting, somebody that you don't know to take care of your child for, I would say, very pivotal point in your life where you're transitioning from a young adult to a man, it's very important to have those characteristics of what you would look for in a husband, what you would look for in a father. That, and that's one of the decisions I made was I want to follow these people in real life, not just in football. And, it goes beyond just football, but from a networking standpoint. Like after I'm done with football, can I call this person up and have them vouch for me to get a job offer? Or if they were to hire or own a company, would I want to work for them? Those are kind of the questions that you have to ask as going into that process is that if you wouldn't follow them in real life, if you wouldn't want to work for them in real life and choose to work for them, then that's not somebody you want to follow and be a part of, because evidently that's going to show up when it comes down to, decision making when it comes to, on the football field, and, integrity is everything. So that's what I would say.
Well, I think authenticity, being genuine, are two things that are just human nature things for anybody to be looking into as far as following somebody or believing in somebody. Because if they're not real, authentic, genuine with you, it's going to be some problems. Your response to that question, man, just by what you said, to me, it reflected on the fact that your support system between your parents is very, very strong, man. Very strong. You got a great family unit, and I haven't even met them, but I can just feel that from you based on the way you responded to that, because not everybody's going to respond with the way you responded and talked about being authentic and genuine. If you weren't willing to work for this person, or you aren't willing to follow that person to do some things, a lot of times people don't even take that into account, Justin. And by you saying that, it's like, okay, this guy has done his due diligence in order to make sure that he's going to be okay when that time, that last second ticks off the clock and he's done playing football. He may not ever play football again, but that coach or that person who may have a coaching job or just a position in their company will say, hey, you know what, Justin? I want to offer you an opportunity to work on my staff or work in my company. And those are the things that mean a lot more to an individual down the road, as opposed to whether or not I got the snaps or I got some reps, because, hey, man, that's short term. But what you just described, that's some long-term stuff, man. And that's valuable. And those are the things that we need to be teaching our young men on. Value added, because when there's no value added, it's going to be shortened over. And like they say, all that glitters is not gold. So I thank you for responding and giving that valuable advice, because there are a lot of mothers, single mothers, who don't have someone who can give them authentic, valuable advice about what might be best for their child. Yeah, your child is a star, and somebody wants to, in this day and time, profit, because NIL is real. And if they can profit, that's what they want to do. And, and you're just the next one in the cog, because once you're gone, they move on to the next one. You move on to the next one. What is it like, man? You go to a team and they got like 5 quarterbacks already, and the coaches said, well, we want you to come and be a quarterback on our squad. Coach, you already got 5 guys. Right. What happens in that conversation, or how do you get past that? Because those other 5 guys see you coming, and now they're worried about, I'm not ever going to play.
Right. I think that, that conversation looks like I just mentioned, being transparent about it all. I think that, in this day and age, there's so many conversations that aren't, I wouldn't say truthful, but just like all the way honest, I would say.
There you go.
And
There you
I'm a
go.
guy that, walking into a situation like that, I think early on I was kind of, I guess, intimidated by, people in those positions because they were in positions of power.
Right.
But the older you get, and I wish that I got this earlier, that ask the tough questions now. Like, all right, coach, how you doing? Like, keep it respectful, but am I gonna play? Straight up. Like, what are your intentions with having me come in here? Like, why am I here? And if it's not to, at the end of the day, it's a business. If you're not here to help me, then I got to figure something else out. But I would just say navigating that space. One thing I always wanted to do was make sure that it was always earned and never given. Even in situations where I was, told that you're the guy, regardless of what happens, I told them straight up, nah, I don't. That's not what I want. I don't want anything handed to me because that's never happened. I never gotten anything that way. And I've also been on the other side of that, where I was the guy working his tail off, and somebody else was giving something in front of me, and it was like I used to always hate that feeling because I always found myself, fighting tooth and nails to try to earn something, and then somebody else just takes two steps and it's already theirs. And for me, a lot of those conversations were just like, all right, what does it mean? What does it look like to earn this? Like, how do I earn this? And, give me a clear blueprint as far as, what it takes to get it. And then from there, earning it. So that's what I would say.
Okay. I recall being a part of a young man's recruitment at a major D5 school, and the head coach was recruiting him, came to his home and was recruiting him. And like you said, asked the tough questions. His question to the coach was, Coach, are you offering me a scholarship right now? And that just blew me away. I was like, wow, this young man is asking the coach right now, are you offering me something now? Because otherwise, I'm not interested. And that took a lot of moxie to do that. I mean, but again, like you said, hey, let me go ahead and ask the tough questions because the coach has to answer that question. Either the answer is yes or no. Well, I'm thinking, no, coach, either you offer me or not. So yeah, I appreciate that, man. So now let's talk a little bit about how you got dipped into that blue and gold and got all this Aggie pride all over you now, man. You got the Greensboro, and now you found yourself in a whole new world, and now you just believe in that Aggie pride and bleed blue and gold. What was it like that first game on campus for you this past season? What was that like to come out in that blue and gold, man, to play in front of all that blue and gold Aggie alumni?
Yeah, it was truth told, it was a little bittersweet. Because that game, I didn't start that game actually.
Okay.
That was one of the, the first home game was Winston-Salem, and I actually didn't even play that game, but being a part of it was still something to remember. Like, even though I didn't, play in a game and I was able to, experience it, I think, it was still so much value there because I saw the ability for a smaller school to get packed out to the brim. The fans supporting all the way through and through. We actually went to overtime in that game.
Okay.
And just seeing the how many people showed up and showed out and were ready to see us win, it was definitely something that I wanted to relive again over and over, every home game. And, we came out with the win that game. And it was definitely an energy, and it was definitely something I'll never forget because it was probably one of the most packed out games I've ever been a part of or played in. So that was definitely an experience for sure.
Wasn't a lot of packed out games playing in that CAA this past year when y'all went to those away games, I would think.
Right. Yeah. It was sometimes it was, sometimes it wasn't, but it wasn't like the home games at the T. Definitely wasn't like that. Nah.
And you definitely weren't feeling that band flavor coming at those games when you play in the CAA.
Yes, sir. Yeah. That band's something different.
Did y'all play at Hampton this past year?
No, they played at us.
Y'all played at okay. All right. And then, of course, the rivalry game for North Carolina A&T and North Carolina Central, man. Just talk a little bit about that, man, because those rivalry games are just, oh, man. You can get caught up in that stuff, man, and be like, what's going on?
Man, yeah, it was the atmosphere when I first, stepped on the field. It was crazy. It was a major tension in the room, and you had the student section was already full by the time we were out there warming up, and we didn't even have pads on yet. whole stadium was almost packed out, and unfortunately, we didn't get the outcome we wanted. But it was definitely I definitely understood very quickly the rich history that was there, and hearing the fans talking crazy at halftime and talking crazy before the game and stuff like that, and how everybody was, man, Aggie pride, and they was like, nah, Eagle pride or something like that. We like, man, we don't care nothing about that. Yeah, Aggie pride. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna be showing up to those games, and I'm definitely supporting when I come back, because that's that rivalry, the Aggie Eagle Classic, is that's something to remember for you. I'm so glad I was a part of it, because even though we didn't get the outcome we wanted, just being a part of that history, um, is definitely something that I'll never take for granted, and I'm definitely appreciative of.
Well, as a HBCU alumnus, man, I'm just happy you had that experience, because that type of experience at a rivalry game between two black colleges, man, there is nothing like it on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, sir.
in order to live through it and be in it and just be around people like I told you earlier, they come there to eat, to drink, and to talk trash, and that happens.
Yes, sir.
That happens.
Yes, sir.
So, you're done with your football collegiate career, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes,
So,
sir.
what's your plan now?
I'm working towards the draft. I've
Okay.
been working out. I've been, kind of finding my way, playing a couple All-Star games. I haven't had the chance to have an agent yet, so I'm kind of having to figure a lot of stuff on my own. But I believe that through prayer and God's plan, if it's for me, it's for me. If it's
Right.
not, I'm still working on my master's degree right now. I should
Okay.
finish up in the summertime, and I'm definitely working towards that. And I'm also working on my music, man. That's definitely something I'm passionate about. And I've been blessed to start a music career around the quarantine time in 2020, and I've been growing that from time to time, and I'm definitely focused on the draft right now. Obviously, that's the main priority. Making sure I'm staying focused in that. I'm making sure I'm doing what I got to do and try to put my best foot forward. But I'm definitely looking forward and getting my ducks in a row, making sure
Okay.
that I prepare myself for whatever the outcome looks like and whatever God has for me. So I'm definitely looking forward to my next chapter in life. This next 6 month time frame is gonna entail a lot, and I'm looking forward to whatever that looks like. So I know I'm gonna be successful regardless, but that's it.
I
That's
have
it.
no doubts about that, Justin. So, what are you getting your master's in?
I'm getting my master's in business administration. I'm focusing in general management.
I already knew that, man, but I had to ask.
Yes,
So,
sir.
you say you got this music thing going, man. So, share with everybody a little bit before we close out, exactly what that is, what you're doing, and how you're making that come to life.
Yeah, so I go by Fombo. That's my artist name on all platforms and everything. I just, I'm a singer, rapperish type of guy. It's definitely Christian based,
Okay.
faith based. I make sure that I keep it clean, and I've been doing it for a little while. And then my family's musically inclined. They definitely are. I get that from them. My mama, she sings. My dad sings. We spend time making. I would say they made music back in the day. My dad was in a band, and he was cold. He played the bass, but yeah, my family, extended family, immediate family, we all, music is big. That's a major staple to me. And I feel like if it wasn't football, music would be the one thing that I'd probably be doing right now. And, I'm definitely, I make, I produce, I don't say produce, I do my own, audio editing and stuff like that. So everything you hear is done by me except for the beat. I didn't make the beat. But, that's something I'm definitely passionate about. Definitely something I'm looking forward to continuing to do and continuing to grow in. And I'm seeing, how I can, a lot of the stuff that I want to do business wise is tied to the music industry and stuff like that. I want to be an entrepreneur in some of those fields. And um, I'm definitely looking forward to how much that stuff's going to grow. And I'm looking forward to after this process of going through the draft and, finishing out my football career, whether that be in 3 to 5 years or, right next year. I'm definitely looking forward to, taking that time to grow in that aspect and, taking that on. So, yes, sir.
Well, I'll share this with you, man. Once that entrepreneur bug bites you, it's gonna be hard to shake, man. You're not gonna want to work for nobody else ever again. Let me tell you. I know from experience. I've
Yes, sir.
when I came out of college, man, one of the things I wanted to do was have my own business. I did it back in the day, back in the 80s, man. I had my own souvenir T-shirt business. I used to sell the souvenirs you see people buying at the games. My company used to sell that type of stuff at black college football games. So, and it wasn't a whole lot of us doing that back then. You go to these games now, a lot of people are selling this stuff, but back in the 80s, I probably could count on both hands all the brothers who were doing that. So, but that entrepreneur bug, man, is serious. So I wish you the very best in your music career and in your degree efforts. And I know your parents are very proud of you, and I'm sure that they're looking forward to other things happening for you. So I want to talk to you when we finish here. I got something I want to talk with you about when we get off this show, man. But as we get ready to close out, Justin, I just got to tell you, man, again, thank you for being on the show. And as we do at this time on the show, when we come to the end, I want to say welcome to the fraternity of black quarterbacks known as quarter five back. Yes, sir. We will be getting you out your letter and your lifetime membership certificate, making you a part of this brotherhood of black quarterbacks, man. And this is something that I believe I was anointed to do. This is my ministry, if you want to look at it that way. But I'm on this quarterback thing for black quarterbacks in a day in, day out effort, man. And every time I get a chance to speak to another black quarterback, it's like Christmas time for me, man, because I'm always proud of these young men like yourself that become a part of this. So, man, welcome to the fraternity and the brotherhood.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. That's an honor for sure.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, like I said, I want to talk to you a little bit about something when we get off the air. So, just stay with us as we get ready to close out, man. But Justin Fomby, North Carolina A&T quarterback, man, finished out his senior year at North Carolina A&T, working on his master's in business administration. Hey, man, what a phenomenal guy. Had some excellent points that he put out tonight about the transfer portal and just about what to look for in coaches and people in general. Authenticity, integrity. You want somebody to be genuine. Man, if you're looking for those things, and if you, like he said, if you are not willing to go work for that person or follow that person, then that might not be the person you need to follow or hook your wagon up to. So again, thank you, Justin, for bringing out those points. And we are just so honored to now have you a part of the quarter five back family. Indeed. So that's going to do it for me tonight. Man, it's been another phenomenal show. As always, we are very excited about having our guests when they come on the show, because it just continues to give us one more piece to the puzzle that we're building here at Quarter Five Back and the Post Route. And this is who we are and what we do. So as we close out tonight, I want to once again thank our crew, Mr. Will Relaford, our chief photographer. Appreciate you. Definitely got to thank my number one guy on the social media who puts the information out to everybody, Mr. Kemal Lazir. Thank you very much, son, for what you do. Thank you to our senior consultant, Dr. Will Kitchings, for all you've been able to process and provide to us. And as always, the number one wing person a guy like me could have to make sure these shows happen, Ms. Ronaldine Kennedy, thank you so very much. I know you're a little under the weather, but thank you so very much for making tonight's show happen as producer and director. You guys keep me going straight ahead, because this is who we are. Until next Monday night, as we always say, go deep and go for the bomb. Night, everybody.